Wasn't that Lud's like first call to be sponsored by 7-Eleven when he had coffee or whatever and he was talking about it? We're not live, are we?
Yes, we are.
Oh, classic.
In case you're wondering why I was silent for 23 seconds, I was having a stare down with our producer. I was laying out. He thinks he's going to catch me. He's not.
Yeah, I mean,
he caught Sam. But guess what? This is the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast. We're going to have this little staring contest for a while. I don't know if I'm going to win or John's going to win. We're both from New England, so we're both pretty stubborn. Isn't that right, Dia?
Yeah, I'm better than you.
Yes, sir.
You think you're better than me, buddy?
Oh, yeah. How you like them apples? Let's get the show started. Hey, Sean, did you catch our first full pre- and post-game show last night?
I did not watch it live, unfortunately, but I did listen to it today. So good job.
Anything
guys.
stick out to you particularly?
There was a conversation about clothing and apparel with Sam that is hard to unhear and not be stuck there. So I guess that you guys did talk about hockey game, if I recall.
We did. Well, I'll tell you what. He's wearing pants today. That's a win. I don't think there's any underwear. Here's what happened previously on the DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. How long was their shift? Want to take a guess?
I'm going to say 240.
210.
What's it?
He's just going to he doesn't
Does he even know the answer?
He doesn't.
Enough of the soundbite.
Well, you were kind of being self-deprecating, which is it's charming, but you said you always felt like
Another
you were
one. Mark that down. I got to go look that
Go
one.
look.
Oh, you didn't do the Google Doc.
Did Luddy put his in? Or are you just hoping to get a pair?
Oh, so you're not
that's
getting.
what I thought the deal was. We got your glasses.
You do, but you have to tell them which ones you want. There's like 40 different kinds, so you don't have any.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. You know I don't know how to do the Google Doc.
Just get
or
on there
whatever
and
it's called,
get
or
on
the
there and get your Google Doc.
Shawshank page.
All you got to
none of
do
that
is
I'm
stuff.
surprised.
log into your TikTok. You got to get on the Reels, and then you go on Grindr and you throw on the Google Doc.
Go on Grindr.
Do you just sweat all the time?
Do what?
You just sweat all the time?
Ardell wrote in, Sam is barefoot. Does he smell like patchouli too? Beads for curtains and salad for breakfast.
I am not barefoot. I have flip-flops.
Commando
Sam is accurate, though.
Shoe off. It is Friday. It is October the 4th. This is the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast. Welcome in as we are live from our podcast studio alongside Sam Nestler and our remote friend, Sean Shapiro. I'm Owen Newkirk.
What's patchouli?
Oh, my goodness. I was just going to say, I'm trying to keep this above board. And Sean, Sam fell into the trap. Ardell put a comment on the chat, said that he was barefoot. He wasn't. Took his flip-flop off and gave people opportunities for a foot fetish.
I aim to please.
You didn't know you were walking into that when you started the show today.
No, I did. I was thinking about, though, when we were doing the little replay back there. If I filled out the Google Doc, so I actually have a pair. I don't know where they are. So, but if Lud's
not in Ben's office,
they're if Lud's steals them, I guess I could use the discount code to get the refund or whatever. So that works, right? Yeah, see,
nice.
There we go.
So
good
I got a pair
non-sequitur.
because I filled out the Google Doc.
Yeah.
Sam opted out. He didn't fill one out by his choice. You didn't say that to Luddy last night, though. You just
I
let
like
him
to confuse him more.
You let him spin around on the skewer a little bit. John didn't know that it was available for everybody, not just for the quote unquote talent. So he didn't get one, even though our other producers did, and then rubbed it in his face. And you did, but they're not there. I think they're on Ben's desk. So
Okay.
Our show did not
Sweet.
have a successful hit rate. We're batting about 500, which is
But
not good
so-
in this case.
crushed it.
Are we Sam? You opted out? Like actually
Yeah.
opted out?
Yeah, I
Like-
said no, thank you. I'm opting out of this. No, I just didn't fill it out. I have like 14 pairs of sunglasses, so I just didn't get any
Sam's the only one that doesn't ever lose or break sunglasses in the history of mankind.
because I don't wear them.
In Texas. You live in Texas. It's sunny all the time. It's bright. You're in the
hot.
car. How do you not wear sunglasses?
I don't know. My eyes are just adjusted.
Maybe
Doesn't wear a lot of things.
Maybe that's why I can't read the fonts on the screen.
He doesn't wear a lot of things. Thank you, John. I'll tell you what, I don't think I've ever yelled at Sam before, but I'm incredulous right now about sunglasses.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I'm grossed out about underwear. All right, let's get to hockey before we really lose it. It's Friday. We're a little loopy already. Sean, we didn't have you on last night's show. You are going to be on plenty of pre- and post-game shows for DLLS, but you didn't last night. That's fine. But you saw the game. So, last preseason game, Stars lose in overtime to the St. Louis Blues. Final score 4-3. What were your initial takeaways as we welcome in another edition of Sean's 2 cents?
The first one is like, I know preseason isn't the greatest indicator of regular season success, but the momentum for me for Logan Stankoven that he's carrying in from preseason into the regular season is notable to me. Like, we were already excited about seeing what Logan Stankoven could do with a full NHL season and everything like that. And that to me is just amplified over watching what he's done in preseason. And that's point number one for me. From a perspective of, and I know that he probably didn't look that great on the goal against in overtime in the 3-on-3 for Lundqvist, but I think Nils has continued. He didn't look good at all in the 3-on-3 session there, but I think his body of work in regulation, and consider the fact that in a real 3-on-3 session, he's not going to get ice time anyway. In a real 3-on-3 session, it's going to be Miro and then Harley, and then it's going to be Lindell. And so that's going to be your order in a real 3-on-3 anyway. So I thought he continued to prove that he's going to get that spot while Brendan Smith kind of and you guys talked about Brendan Smith on the show last night. I thought he continued to open more of a gap to prove that Lundqvist should be in that spot. The other thing that's just interesting, and it's something that is, like, we talk all about this, and it's the time to talk about it, is this battle for that final roster spot, like we've talked about with the forwards and everything. And maybe there's another one, and we can talk more about Mavrik Bourque's absence maybe later. But to me, I now see the two new guys coming in, Cole Lind and R2 Huru, as ahead of Beck and Blumel in my mind. So that's, well,
we have a new sounder that you weren't yet ready for, and John was a little slow on the trigger. So say his name again. We'll practice this one. Go ahead.
R2 Huru.
We like to have fun here.
Yeah. But that's what I thought of the game last night. I thought, and it was also weird to watch Radek Fox play a game against Dallas. That was also kind of a bit odd too. But
it was less with Suter, wasn't it? Because he played against the Stars for a majority of his career. So I didn't feel like that was as strange, because Fox had never played for another NHL team until this preseason.
I mean, Ryan Suter could play for another NHL team in 3 months. So who knows, right? Like, I don't really.
Let me ask you that real quick. Do you think that Ryan Suter would be a trade target if St. Louis is not a contender to make a wild card or even a divisional spot?
Would he be? Yes.
Would teams want Ryan Suter that are gearing up for a playoff push?
That was a good answer, Sean. I like that.
Will teams want him? Yes. Should they? No.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with my opinion on this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that I think we saw what Ryan Suter. He's past his prime.
He scored on a knuckle puck.
He scored on a beauty last night with a good floater that was overturned. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. Sean, you mentioned you mentioned the name that I'm not going to say because John's going to do the thing. But
you should totally say the name.
You mentioned Lind, Huru, Beck, Blumel, all those guys. Let's talk about those for a second, because that's obviously the interesting topic now at this point, right? We don't know how it's going to look, but we assume they might have one of those guys on that roster when they go to Nashville. You said Lind and Huru.
You didn't want to say it.
Are above. No, I actually forgot. Are above the other two. Do you have one of those two that you think stands out more?
Between Lind and Huru, I have from play alone, if you were doing just play in a vacuum, I would go Huru. But going off kind of body of work and what I've seen from both of them career-wise, I've seen Lind play in the AHL with Coachella. I've seen him be a bit like, it's So if I was going to based off just camp, I would give the edge to Huru, and based off just camp and preseason games, I would go Huru. But going off comfort level in North America, what he did in the AHL before, I would go Lind that way. Now, that's a great question. I don't know the right answer to that. If you're Pete DeBoer and Jim Nill and you're having your discussions about how do we figure this out, is it really who was the best in camp, or who was the guy who came in with this and then that did that and then kind of stacked a little bit more on it? So it's an interest. I don't know the right answer. I don't think either one is a wrong answer, though.
Right.
I think that's something that the Stars have that a lot of other teams don't right now, where it's picking the best right answer out of a group of 3 or 4, where a lot of teams it's finding one right answer out of 5 wrong answers.
Yeah, that's what Steve Spott actually talked about that yesterday. I think it was yesterday, saying how
Morning skate.
Yeah, saying how they have so many options here for that, right? And it's not just the guy who gets this spot right now. It's also the 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are in line for that next call up whenever it does happen. So that's important to keep in mind, but it is a good thing to watch because it's been super exciting. Those guys grabbed a hold. Those 2 guys specifically really grabbed a hold and took control of this kind of race for this roster spot. And I've loved both of them this whole preseason.
I want to throw out a bit of speculation that popped into my brain this morning. Sean and I were talking, getting ready for the show via phone, as we aren't in person, but trying to come up with reasons why somebody would or wouldn't be on the opening night roster. And one of them was waiver exemptions, which players could go up and down between Texas and Dallas without having to go through waivers. Because, Sean, you had a really good point about they could very well use the 13th forward as a alternating sort of carousel or merry-go-round of players, because they're all about the same. And that way one player, especially if they're not playing, if they're the extra, aren't wallowing in the press box for too long, because as you rightly point out, Stars general manager Jim Nill likes players playing, not sitting. Well, in this case, I don't see, if everybody's healthy, we will talk about Mavrik Bourque a little bit more in our next segment. I don't see anybody, and we talked about this on our postgame show last night, anybody's of the guys fighting for that spot that actually is going to start the season if everyone's healthy. Meaning Jason Robertson can play game 1, Mavrik Bourque can play. If they have everybody, it's still Dodonov Blackwell as your 4th line. And so the extra guy would be coming to be a backup for that game in Nashville. Well, what if instead of having that, because they have a two-way player in Brendan Smith, who understandably did not play particularly well last night in St. Louis, but he has played forward before. I'm not saying you have him as he's going to play if one of our guys is questionable. If everybody's expected to play and you can use Brendan Smith as your somebody got hurt in the warm-up emergency case, then you could bank a little extra cap space. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Stars did actually do that and send everybody down that's not on the first 12 of the forwards. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying I could see that scenario playing out. But I do not, Sean, think that the Stars do that if a player goes on into a road trip questionable.
Yeah, I agree with that. The opening night game is so different because it's a one-off trip to Nashville, right? So if you wake up Wednesday, if you're getting on the plane, if you practice Wednesday and you feel pretty solid that your top 12 are healthy, you might as well save the cap space and send the guys down to Texas. You have, as you said, Owen, Brendan Smith can play forward if needed, if an injury in warmups. And then on top of that, you have Texas plays on Friday and Saturday at home, I believe, if I remember that correctly.
Yes.
So you get a chance to get all of those guys playing. You let that competition continue to grow. The one interesting kind of question for me is just with a guy like, and Lind is really the one that I have the question on, is, are you, Jim Nill is an asset hoarder. Let's call it what it is. He is a big believer, and he doesn't like to risk losing players on waivers that he thinks might get claimed. So does Lind simply have the 13th forward job because the Stars think someone else would then take him if he went on to waivers? And I don't know the answer to that, because I don't think I think at this time of year, it would depend on injuries. It would depend on some other things. It would depend on some other teams are filling out their lineups. I think he would clear, but maybe he ends up getting the spot simply from the waiver status, where I think he's a guy who has done enough that other teams might take a flyer on him through waivers, and I don't think that a Beck has, who would also require waivers. I don't think Beck has done enough where there's enough body of work for another team to be like, he's better than our in-house options.
So before we go to break, can you just explain who of those four that we're talking about are waiver exempt and who's not?
Yeah, so Blue Mel and Huru can go up and down at will this year. They're both waiver exempt, so you don't have to worry about waivers for them. It's for it's Beck and Lind who both will require waivers to be sent down, and that's just kind of the, as I said, it adds a wrinkle to Lind. Now, the other thing that people have to remember is once a guy clears waivers, once you clear waivers, you remain waiver exempt for 30 days or 10 NHL games, depending on how things work. So you could slip a Cole Lind through waivers on, say, Monday or something, or like Sunday. Like, it could, one of the smart, savvy business moves could be put him on waivers on like a Sunday, on Saturday for Sunday, because teams are still filling out their roster and everything like that. And a lot of teams wait to see till that Monday one to try to maybe snag a bigger name that's available. Because if I'm sitting in the Stars GM chair, I'm putting Cole Lind on waivers tomorrow at noon because I think I can slip him through to Sunday. And then you can assign him to Texas, or you can keep him on the NHL roster, either or, but you still have time to figure it out. And he can either keep that job or he can be sent down. Like that would be my play on this. Because at some point, all of these guys, I think at some point, all four guys are going to play NHL games with Dallas at some point. Teams don't stay completely healthy. That's just the reality. So they're going to need everyone, but there's all these, you got to be a little bit sneaky early on to control the outside stuff with waivers and everything.
We're going to talk about Mavrik Bourque's injury and the concerns over the young forward up next here on the DLLS Dallas Stars Podcast.
Let's talk about Blue Chew, one of our brand new sponsors. They say first impressions are important, but what about lasting impressions? That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so you can stay hard and perform at your very best. The Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever the opportunity arises. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Just pay the $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month completely free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast.
Let's face it, Sam, after a night of drinks, we just don't bounce back the next day like we used to. We have to make a choice. We can either have a great night or a great next day. That's when, of course, until we found, or I found, or any of us found, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic that was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Things like weddings, vacations, birthdays, and reunions. There's so much going on. Get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. And you can go to zbiotics.com/DLLS Stars to get 15% off your first order when you use DLLS Stars at checkout. All right. This is the time where we have to talk about something that we're a little concerned about. Maybe not panicking about. No, I'm not panicking. But Mavrik Bourque's injury, he played last night. He didn't play very long. He played one shift in the second period. I saw the stat sheet for our post-game show. They gave him a credit for a 43-second shift, first one of his second period action, and he didn't play after that. But Sean, you went back and looked a little bit closer, and you said that was actually a bit of a misnomer, that it wasn't even that long.
Yeah, I don't think it was a 43-second shift, and if it was, it's just he must have spent a bunch of time right in front of the bench to make it happen. But so it was so I went back and watched it, and it was probably closer to a 20 to 25-second shift, and essentially it's kind of one of those plays where he gets the puck, he makes a play, he's going towards the Blues defender, and just dumps the puck into the corner. And instead of going puck hunting, which is very much what Mavrik Bourque's game is, he basically takes a quick heel turn and heads to the bench. That to me is kind of an indication of there's something my body's telling me is not going right here. I need to get to the bench right now. That's he's not. I've watched Bourque play a lot in the AHL. It's a very uncommon play for him to bail out on a chance to go battle for a puck. And so we don't know exactly what it is. You guys have seen at camp, he's been battling something clearly. And so to me, it just feels like that second period, whether it was a precautionary, I don't know if the conversation was, hey, give it one shift and see how it goes, or if it was in the moment, I got to listen to my body here. Either way, we're now kind of wondering what we're going to see, if he's going to be ready in a week or not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we talked about it last night. It's unfortunate we don't know more. We didn't get to see the team practice or get any media availability today, so we didn't get to ask that. But I am annoying the Stars PR team for the last hour to try to get some sort of update. So I will let you know if we get anything. But as of now, nothing.
Well, it's tough too because we don't know how serious it is. It was enough to hold him out of some. We call it training camp. Sean, I said this last night. I'll repeat it. It's not really training camp after the first couple of days, right? It's preseason because these guys aren't going through a grueling 1 to 2 weeks of two-a-days and this. These guys come into camp in shape already. So it's more of preseason than training camp. But anyway, I digress. The fact that they held Bourque out of a couple of days, he didn't play a couple of games, and then recovered, practiced, and played last night, looked like he was trending in the right direction. The fact that they hopefully were just precautious about it last night, we'll find out. We have a week before the first game, but does that lead to you having any thoughts that we might not see him play the season opener because of the unknown of where he's at?
I think a week is a really long time for a guy to heal on something who is frankly trying to make an opening night roster for the first time in their NHL career. So I have now maybe it's something much worse. Maybe it is. Who knows? But to me, from an athlete, sports, the way sports science is and everything like that right now, from a healing perspective, I would be highly surprised if Bourque doesn't play. Now, maybe Sam goes to practice tomorrow, or Stars PR sends him an update right now that makes things a lot more drastic. But the overall, for me, if he's not playing opening night, this is a more concerning injury than we've basically come to believe right now. To me, a nagging thing should be fine with a week to heal for an NHL athlete in the way they're cared for right now.
Now, listen, I know that playing in a preseason game, even the last one, isn't all that big of a deal. But there were some notable holdouts yesterday. Miro Heiskanen is probably just look, Miro, you don't need to play that. Tyler Seguin, probably in the same boat. Save you. You played enough preseason games. You don't need to be in that lineup. Wyatt Johnston is a little concerning just because he's had some quote-unquote maintenance days. I don't think that this team looks that beat up going into the regular season, but we talk about Bourque, Johnston, Jason Robertson is trending in the right direction. Do you have, Sean, any concerns whatsoever as this team has now 6 days left to prepare for Nashville?
No, I don't. I don't really. It's from an injury perspective, I expect Jason Robertson to be Jason Robertson to start the season. Wyatt Johnston as well. I mean, the guys you mentioned, I think all three of them played all 82 last year, right? Johnston, Robertson, and Seguin all played all 82 games last year.
I think you're right. Didn't Lindell play all 82 as well, and he sat out last night?
Yeah. So there's no. Them not playing a preseason game in St. Louis to me doesn't really. I didn't think twice about it, to be honest. That's the thing where I don't. That's the spot. I thought it was a nice chance to see Bishel a little bit more. I thought there was a couple actual positives out of those guys not playing. You got to see some of those guys battling for a spot. We got to see a Lind. We got to see a Huru get some power play opportunities. And those guys, I don't think those guys will get power play opportunities necessarily in Dallas if they are on the team, but it's good to know and see and have a little bit. So I said Luds would give me crap right now for talking way too much after when I should have just said no. So
That's okay. This is a podcast. So
Yeah.
talking is kind of the point.
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
you seem really thrilled that the preseason schedule is over. Too many games?
Yeah.
Not enough?
Too many.
Why?
I just think it drags on too long. You just told me that Detroit plays 8 preseason games.
No, I told you because Sean told me.
Yeah, like that. I mean, that's
Yes.
it's just too many. I understand. So I have more of an understanding for the preseason now than I did coming into this year because I spoke to some coaches and they talked about the process. Right, Steve Spott talked about it yesterday. We had a clip on our pregame how important it is to go through it. Like they would love to get 23 guys on day one and have their team
Of
so they
course
can
they
do
would.
2 weeks of practice and get ready for the season. But you also need to prepare for the future. And he talked about how vital it is to see a Lind or to see Bishel on the ice every day in practice, see him in 2 to 3 games, or for Bishel's sake, when he played 5. So it's important, and I understand it. Maybe 4. Logan Stankoven told me that 4 would be his ideal number if he could pick the preseason.
Sean, you wanted to go on your soapbox on this too. 6 too many?
4 is the number. What you should do is 4 should be the number, and you go 4, 2 home, 2 away for each team, NHL team, and you do it that way. The other reason that's ridiculous, and I'm getting my soapbox about something else. The reason that some teams do more is they just use it to jack up some season ticket prices. Because all of a sudden, like if in Detroit, for example, they do 8 preseason games, 4 home, 4 away. They are now able to sell a season ticket package, quote unquote, that includes 45 home games instead of 41. And it is the same reason that it's the same. It's to me that is one of the biggest farces of preseason too, where we kind of put these in to raise ticket prices at some point on season ticket holders. So you find a way to basically put a little tax on your most loyal fans, which annoys me. And then they're just to get that data point that Sam talked about of, hey, we want to know about this guy, and this guy. You can do that for 3 games. You can do that for 3 games and then do 1 game with your real lineup. Like there's players show up in shape. When I was in Colorado on Tuesday earlier this week, Avalanche coach Jared Bednar was talking about how, like, in his view, preseason or training camp, whatever words you want to use, is way too long. He's like, honestly, he says, and this is even in a year where I've got like 4 roster spots open. He says 10 days already feels too long. He's like, I should be able to figure everything out within 10 days. Guys are in shape. Guys are here. I should be able to spend 10 days picking my team and then being able to and then we should be ready to go. Preseason is way too long. I hope Jason Robertson breaks his scoring record from 2 years ago when he played 0 preseason games, and then I can just keep using Jason Robertson as the golden example that preseason is pointless. So
If he does it this year, it'll be really impressive because when it was a contract dispute as an RFA, he was still skating and working out. This time he's actually trying to recover from a procedure on his foot, removing a cyst. So, he was skating on his own and working out. He wasn't probably at the same intensity level for precautionary reasons than he was when he was holding out. Because I would imagine until that deal was signed, he was still skating with his own group on the side, not at Comerica Center in Frisco. But if he's able to do it both ways, then it really shows that that a player can be really effective without it, right?
I mean, I would actually argue he's probably skating harder on the bad foot coming off that. Just because remember, he was skating by himself. It's not like he had all the people he did off-season training with were gone. So it's not like, unless he was putting himself through wind sprints, there's only so much he could have even done.
Well, he was non-weight bearing for 6 weeks, I think it was. So he couldn't do anything for that time. So it would be interesting. I will say one update. You guys were talking about the guys that were held out last night. They did have a non-game group practice yesterday after morning skate. All those guys were going, and it was a pretty hard, intense skate. So I have 0 issue with Heiskanen, Johnston, the guys we just talked about. I don't think anything is going on there.
I think in that situation, it's a classic question from coaches and management of, Do you want to have a hard skate or do you want to get on a flight to St. Louis? Neither sound appealing, so pick your poison.
It's good. It's a good one. Hey, we have a lot to get to. A really jam-packed NHL news and notes segment we'll do next. Coming up after that, we have the damn Discord channel featuring Sean as he fills in for Luds on Friday with Luddy out at the Stars Big Heart Charity Hockey Tournament. He's playing all day, and it's a great, great tournament. I've done it before a couple of times. It's really fun to play in, and they raise money for a really, really good cause. That's all coming up here on the DLLS Dallas Stars podcast.
Okay. Let's talk about Roback. It's Roback Activewear. It's quite simple. It's the best fit, it's the best feel, and the quality of gear just speaks for itself. We're talking today about their performance polos. It's the best looking, best fitting performance polos you can find. I'm someone who likes to golf. I'm looking forward to getting one myself to try on the golf course. They never lose their shape. Solids, classic stripes, fun prints too. I don't know if we have a graphic for that one like we do for my other reads, but if we did, it would go right there. It is, and if you want the perfect blend of all of this comfort, style, and versatility, and why wouldn't you? You can use our code DLLS20 at roback.com for a generous 20% off on your first order. Now that's spelled Roback, RHOBACK.com, and that's 20% off all the polos, the hoodies, the shorts, which Sam might want to look into with that code DLLS20. Check them out now.
Thank you, Sean. With Empire today, you get to shop at home convenience. Let's try that again. You get shop at home convenience. I read that so wonderfully well. The right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, they do have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, and speed. So competitors might advertise low quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in their home. Make sure you use their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. And that's really good for everybody involved. Schedule a free Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details. All right. You guys ready for a lightning round of NHL news and notes here on the podcast today?
I was born ready.
Sean, you ready?
I'll try my best to be ready.
We have a lot to get to, and it probably won't fit in this one segment. Let's start with the obvious. There is a game going on in the NHL that counts in the regular season standings right now in Germany. What's the score update?
3-1 Devils, 5 minutes left in the third.
Okay, so game going on.
But
Sean, you're angry.
It's not in Germany though.
Where is it? Oh, is it in
Czechia?
It was in Prague. Okay.
According to Chico, the radio guy for the Devils, it's in Prague, Czechoslovakia, which hasn't been a thing in about 4 years.
Oh,
Chico Resch did say Czechoslovakia. Wow, that hasn't happened since the Iron Curtain of the Soviet Union.
It was a good one.
Are they going to come together to play in the Four Nations tournament too? Is that going to
be? Maybe he knows. Maybe he knows something here, and we're behind.
It's going to turn into the Six Nations, right? Sean, you're angry about this. Why?
Well, I'm angry just because it's so hard to find on television right now. The NHL season starts today. It is a game at 1 o'clock, noon Central, 1 o'clock Eastern, and it is only on NHL Network, which is not widely carried by many platforms. I know you can get it on some. It is also unavailable for streaming effectively, and for a league that is pretending to be forward-thinking by putting all of its efforts into streaming platforms with ESPN Plus and things like that. This game should be on there. It's pretty hilarious when I flip over to ESPN or ESPN2 right now, and it's on, and it's got a debate show or something like that, or a sports center, when there's actual live games going on that could be put up. So I just dislike how NHL Network carries things and get things blacked out. If you want to play it on NHL Network, fine. But the fact that you can't pull it up on ESPN Plus as an out-of-market game also makes it worse. So from a grow the game perspective, because that's what these games are supposed to be. These games are supposed to be, hey, grow the game in Europe. You should at least think about that a little bit and apply it to at home, where you know what, it's going to be a 1 o'clock game on a Friday. You might have someone to actually put on television to do that. So that's my anger. So.
What's funny about that, Sean, is it doesn't seem, I don't know the details of like television and all that a ton, but it doesn't seem like it's that hard to do, to put that game on ESPN Plus. They put almost every game on ESPN Plus during the year besides the national ones and other things like that. So it just seems so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I just went upstairs at our office. We are a Dallas Stars hockey podcast, right?
We are.
I had to get a free trial of Fubo TV in order to watch that game. And I had to use a different email because I had already used the free trial of Fubo to do this previously 2 years ago. So that's a problem that needs to be fixed. There should not be games on NHL Network that are blacked out everywhere else. Just period. It shouldn't happen ever. That's my opinion. So Sean's angry. Sam's angry as well.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of anger going on. Speaking of anger, Connor Geekie was suspended for one preseason game yesterday because he violated Rule 70.2. I was going to play the video, but there's some questions about broadcast copyright, so we're not going to. So I'm going to just read basically what the Department of Player Safety said. What is Rule 70.2? Well, he left the bench on a legal line change, so it wasn't like he illegally left the bench, but he did so for the purpose of starting an altercation, a.k.a., Sean, if you move your head to the side, you'll see. Nope, the other way.
Other way.
A fight.
There we go.
And so he did indeed try to engage in an altercation, went after a player as the Tampa Bay Lightning were involved. It was Wednesday night's game, and he was assessed a minor penalty for cross-checking, then a minor and a 10-minute misconduct for instigating, and a 5-minute fighting major. So he got the 2, 5, 10, and an extra 2. If you go back and watch the video, which Sam is watching, it was the Lightning against the Panthers. The player that he went
beat the
after
crap out of him
was
too.
not interested at first.
He didn't have his gloves off.
And he beelined for him off the bench. And so I think the point is, if you want to go after a guy, you can still do so and get instigating. We saw Arbor Jacki do that exact thing and ended up getting fined for it. But you just have to make it obvious that you are not, that you are at least somewhat attempting to play a normal shift of hockey. You can't just straight line from the bench to an opponent and go after him and then continue to chase him, grab him from behind, start throwing punches after you've left your stick in another zone. And yeah, it was not very subtle, was it?
No, and it looked bad too because of the way the fight went. I didn't see who the other player was, but his gloves are still on. His head is ducked down. He's trying to just avoid punches, and then at the very last second, he throws his gloves off to try to just attempt to defend himself and gets taken down. So the whole visual of it doesn't look good. And you're right. I think it's not a rule. Like, the rule can very easily be swayed if he comes on and plays 5 seconds and pretends to forecheck and then goes in and does that. But funny enough, that was the first time I ever got suspended in hockey, was for doing that, for coming off the bench.
Really?
Yeah, 8th grade, defending my friend who was getting 3 guys pinning him in the corner, and he was getting triple teamed, and I came off the bench and got suspended. So there you go. Rule, how many
games did you get, Sam?
2.
More than Connor Geekie.
I got 2. And we only played like 25.
Connor,
we don't play 82 or whatever. So
this was a preseason game. So, right. But anyway. All right, moving on.
So Sam got 2 out of a 25 game season. That's like the equivalent of like an 8 game suspension in the NHL.
It's 1/12 of the season.
Yeah. So and Geekie got a 1 preseason game suspension for a game he probably wasn't going to dress for anyway. So
it's like getting a 5 or 6 game suspension in the NHL. Is what you got.
Yeah. Worth it.
You're a hooligan.
Worth it. I ripped off a helmet. It was a great time. I miss hockey.
At least you didn't take your skate off and try to stab.
No. Still only one guy to ever do that.
Moving on to Utah. Clayton Keller has been named the captain of the Utah Hockey Club. Please, for goodness sakes, I don't even care if they don't have uniforms that say it this year. Just name your team.
Yeah.
So we can call you the Utah Yeti or whatever it's going to be, and still have the Utah HC jerseys, but then you can start doing merchandise and plan ahead. Like, you could do it even if you don't have the merch.
Yeah, it's funny when you see, like...
But that's not the point of the story.
It's one thing when it's listed out like that, but if you look, I forget where I was looking, NHL site or something, and it showed the games that were coming up, and it said, like, Hockey Club versus Flyers, and I was like, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, it was kind of endearing when the Washington football team made the choice to change from the Redskins for obvious reasons, and it was Washington football team, and it was kind of silly at first, and then it kind of grew on some people. Whatever. This one is just about not having time to get the proper trademarks and jerseys made and merch and all that stuff. They're going to name their team. I don't think they're going to be the hockey club. But Keller naming the captain of Utah is the first time that franchise, which was the Arizona Coyotes, has had a captain, Sean, since July of 2021, which is when Oliver Ekman-Larsson was traded to the Vancouver Canucks. And the Coyotes hadn't had a captain for 3 full NHL seasons, just like they didn't have an NHL building for 3 full seasons.
Ouch.
Well, to be fair, I mean, buying Stitch C's to stitch on might be a bit expensive, so that might have been the reason why.
That's fair. That's fair.
But, I mean, you just can get a bulk order on the A's, and you just handle that. So that's probably the reason.
You can use them on multiple jerseys. You only use it on one
Hey,
C.
Turn the A sideways, and that's your captain.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I think this is a brilliant move for 2 reasons. 1, Clayton Keller's a heck of a player. 2, they seem to, with the ownership change, the relocation, this franchise seems to be on much better footing, which is not a whole lot to do compared to the Morello group and having a building, and they're working on updating the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. But Clayton Keller's a guy that if he was available, if he left that club, I would think 31 other teams would be interested. He is a really good player. And I think the only reason that he's not thought of more highly by the general hockey public is simply because he played for the Coyotes.
Yeah, and I think he's probably. I don't even think he's thought of poorly. I mean, he's a guy. We're talking about a guy who's basically been a point per game guy for the last 3 seasons as he's kind of come into his own. And I mean, it's a good move for them. It's kind of funny that there's only now 1 team left without a captain, and that's Seattle. And and it was Mark Giordano was the captain for their first 55 games before they traded him away. And it's funny because that Giordano Seattle one, I talked to someone from the Kraken about that over the summer, just about when it came to naming captains, and they kind of said at the time where they never planned to name a captain, even planned to name a captain in year 1. That wasn't their plan at all. But Giordano he was the guy. Like, it was one of those where it's like you walk into the room and everyone knew it.
Yep.
And he said, and effectively, without saying it, basically no one has been the guy in Seattle from a leadership perspective since then. And so, and that's, I'm for Arizona. Like, I think, Utah. It's good that I think it's good to see this, and I think it's also good captain news because the other day I saw the University of Minnesota announce their captains, and they had 4 C's and 2 A's, and it made me very angry. So you talk about things that make people angry.
Lord.
Go Gophers, though.
Yeah. When everyone's the captain,
about Seattle, though, you think about who could be in the running for that, and of course, the name Matty Beniers comes top of mind. The thing is that he's still young, and I think there is, Sean, something about not trying to overburden a young player with too much. The Bruins did it with Joe Thornton, and that was a real mistake. That's not a very new thing, and it's not to say Joe Thornton was an incredible player, but him being captain really wasn't in his personality, especially as an 18-year-old. And so Matty Beniers is a little older than that. He's played a couple, but you don't need to shove a young kid that's still trying to feel like he's really established full-time in the NHL, 5-6 year veteran kind of thing. Like Clayton Keller's an established NHL star.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do it too early, but that doesn't mean you don't name a captain. You just have to do another one.
They have a bunch. I mean, I'm looking at their roster. Jordan Eberle stands out to me. Jaden Schwartz stands out to me. They have Tanev. They have a bunch of veterans that I'm not saying they're captain guys, but it's not like they only have the 2 young guys they could name. But I will say it's very interesting. We complained. I think it was Sean that brought it up, that teams that don't have captains on one of our podcasts a couple weeks ago, right? We were talking about how it's silly that teams don't name them. Since then, I think there's been 3, maybe 4 that have been named, and there's only 1 team remaining. So somebody's listening.
So
they really take really strong thoughts to your individual opinion. So keep getting on that soapbox. It's making an impact.
Oh yeah. I mean, clearly, I have all the power on this stuff right now. We're gonna talk. I mean, if Eberle is captain of Seattle before opening night, we'll give Sam his flowers on that, since that's the term we use now to compliment people.
Yeah.
Dropping it in.
But he doesn't have to buy himself flowers. Okay. Coming up, we are
Sick
going to
Miley
do.
reference there, Owen.
Thank you.
Love it.
Very well. We had the Chico Resch topical reference of Czechoslovakia, so I thought I'd at least bring it to this millennium.
Before we go to break here, I'm very good with music, so I do good playlists. I make a lot of good playlists. So
good playlists.
I do good with I do good music. I
and
do
he's
good music.
also a professional
I'm a
writer,
writer
ladies and
as well.
gentlemen. I do good
I'm a professional
playlists.
writer and speaker, but so a lot of times, like when my friends or family get married, they ask me to do the playlist for different parts of the event. And my brother got married, and his daughter wanted to have a song that was on the playlist. And I said, "What song would you want to put for this playlist?" She sent me that one, which is all about buying yourself flowers and not needing anybody else in your life.
But it was this summer's hit.
But I was like,
Top
I don't
40
think that's
banger.
a wedding song. That's not a wedding song.
Yeah, but
How
old is
how
she?
She's
how old is-
11.
Yeah, she's not thinking about the deep hidden
She's
meaning.
whatever song she was
I
listening
like
to at
this
the
song.
time.
I want
Yeah.
this on the playlist.
Whatever
Yes,
one was
that's all.
her ringback tone.
Did you let it go through though? Did you
Yeah.
did you, okay, you did?
Yeah. I
Did you wear
take
pants to the wedding?
as I said. I
Did you wear underwear,
I
let alone
said-
pants to the wedding?
Okay, go to break. I'm done.
Thank you for that. All right, this is the portion of the show where we talk to you about becoming a DLLS diehard. And I am tickled pink because we have a new diehard member that joined the Discord during Wednesday's show with Josh Bogrod, the Stars play-by-play announcer. Look at this, Sooner fan 4321. I'm
Wow.
halfway through the episode, and it's the one that caused me to become a diehard. And yes, that's our producer John saying, "Welcome to the Resistance." I don't know who we're fighting against, but apparently we are the Resistance.
The media market that doesn't cover the Stars.
Ah, okay. So this is the grassroots movement here. But if you sign up to be a DLLS diehard, you get access to the Discord, which we're about to do the damn Discord channel featuring Sean for the first time, filling in for Luds. But you can also have all sorts of really in-depth things. I said this last night in the post-game show. DLS is free. Our broadcasts are all free, whether it's on YouTube or if you do it on a audio streaming platform. You don't have to pay to hear our daily show, our pre and post game shows. It's all available. And many of the articles that Sean and Sam write for the Stars are also available free of charge. But they also have really good content that is behind the Die Hard paywall, including, Sean, you did one recently about what NHL scouts think of the Dallas Stars. And I love stuff like that because we're getting outside perspectives of people who aren't in Dallas but have really good hockey minds, and you get a sense of what other people are thinking about the team that you follow all the time.
Yeah. I'm supposed to continue the pitch here. Yes.
No,
you also
you could
get
stop.
to.
You could just say yes.
Yes. The work is wonderful. You should read it. I don't know if Sam's piece was on the Die Hard level today or not, but Sam wrote a wonderful piece today. He may do good music. He also does good writing too.
He writes good.
and you can support this wonderful adventure that lets us kind of talk Stars hockey on a daily basis. So.
And you will get, someone asked in the chat, so I just want to say it out loud, you will get access to all of our DLS teams, not just the Dallas Stars.
That's right. It's all of them. It's the whole site. You get a discount on a shirt, and you also get ad-free viewing on the website. So when you're reading their articles, you don't have to go through the ads.
Did you see our new site today or yesterday? I don't know when they updated it. It's beautiful.
You
Go
like
check
it?
out the site. They got the Die Hard exclusives on the right. They got our cartoon heads on the site now, so they
Yeah.
can take a close-up look at that. It's a beautiful thing.
I put out a call for questions. We weren't going to do the damn Discord channel today because it's a Luddy staple. Except I kind of said, you know what? I think Sean's up for this. He has plenty of opinions. He was already mad about TV availability and all this preseason game numbers. But I said, let's get Sean ranting today and then do this. So I put out a late request, and boy, the diehards, I wasn't sure if they would get into it, and they did. We've got lots,
Yeah.
so we will not have enough time to get through them all. We don't even have to make up questions pretending to be diehards. You ready for this, Sean?
I only did that once.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get it started.
In here.
Here's our Sooner fan, newest diehard, or one of the new ones. Can we have the line discussion now, Sean?
Yeah. Okay.
We got jokes,
Yes,
don't we? And that wasn't even a plan.
We got jokes. We got jokes. Yes, we can. Yes, lines. You can talk about lines. What do you want to talk about with lines?
All right. Well, Sooner fan actually said a more serious question is what would
Yeah.
you say to Stars fans who are tentative to believe the depth on this team is better than years past, mainly given the defensive additions that weren't the sexy choices?
I think I said this when we talked about the Dumba signing before. I think the Stars are a deeper team than they were at this time last year, 12 months ago. I don't think they're a deeper team than they were on the blue line when Chris Tanev was here. I think those two things can be separate. Like going into this season, the Stars are a better team than they were going into last season. Now they have some questions that they have to grow and figure out. They are not a better defensive team than they were when Chris Tanev was here. I don't know if anyone's made that claim, but Tanev being gone is difficult to replace. So I think that's when I say this team is deeper. It's deeper than they were this time last year going into the season, and maybe they have to make another move. That's how I look at that. Also, by the way, quick shout out to I think the person who asked that question, if I saw the art style right, they had their picture as a sports tune. I believe that's art probably commissioned by my guy Sports Tunes, who does a tremendous job. Go give him a follow on Twitter and his stuff. He does it. He's an amazing artist, cartoonist. Give him a follow too. So, yeah.
Maybe that is him, eh?
It could be. Maybe Sport
Could
Tunes.
be him.
No, I bet you he'd have the Sport Tune. Maybe, I don't know. We'd have to find out. So, Sport Tunes, if you're listening or watching, let us know. Is that you, or is that somebody that just has one of your pieces of art?
And feel free to draw a picture of the four of us anytime you want to.
Or five.
I would
John
love
is part of the
and
show.
include John. Make a whole
I'm a
circle of
person.
it. I love it.
exist.
I do good producing.
All right, let's go to the next one as the do-good over here. T-11, Sean, as a beer league goalie, what's the most annoying thing that happens in a game? Can't say lack of back checking because it's beer league, and people who back check in beer league are squares.
It's defenders who try to push the opposing player, the opponent, into you. I had this example on Wednesday night in my beer league game where we were on the penalty kill, and defender of my team pushed the guy into me, thinking like, "Oh, it'll make him battle." No, it'll just give him full like right to just like jump into me. And since it's beer league referees, it's like, "Oh, the net's off. Let's just do a face off right here." That's all. So it's defenders that put you in harm, but that are willing to push someone into you. That to me is the most annoying thing. Back checking, you accept that's not going to happen. You accept that guys, even though you yell at them thousands of times, are going to misplay the 2-on-1 every single time. You accept all of that. It's the physical harm where my 30-something-year-old body is now potentially be mangled against the posts by unplanned actions is the most annoying thing.
Something you just can't replicate in practice.
No, can't replicate in practice.
All right, let's go to the next one. Sean, how do you feel about lines? That's from Sam Nessler because he can't help himself.
Yes, yeah.
All right, and we have another question underneath. AJ and Rules. Sean, y'all may have answered this in an episode that I missed, but what are your thoughts about the possibility that the NHL may be the first of the big four leagues to expand to 36 teams? And he's right. We did talk about NHL expansion, but let's answer the question anyway, because we always have new listeners. So what do you think about that possibility?
I think 36 is too much. Like, honestly, we're at 32 right now. I can see the justification for 33 and 34. I at least have the conversation on that, but I think the talent and the level of the game right now is, I think 32 is enough. I would be okay with 34, but at some point you've got to, if you're going to keep going, you have to find some other solution to me that North American sports will never embrace, right? Like, if you want to give me a world where if we're going to go up to 40 teams, and you're going to give me a 20-team tier 1 and tier 2, and then we're going to go promotion and relegation, fine, I'm all aboard for that. But I can't. 36 to me is too many. Where in a closed system.
I just eventually feel like we're going to play 82 regular season games against 82 other teams.
No, it's not going to be that much. Go to the September 24th episode of the DLLS Stars Podcast if you want to hear our full discussion about expansion. But I actually think that we will get to 36. I think it will take time. It's not going to be 4 teams at once. It might be, let's just spitball, it might be Houston and Atlanta first, and then at some point Arizona gets restarted as a franchise under new ownership, and then a fourth city to balance it out. Sean, if we do get to 34, I would love to see them dissolve the divisional playoff format and just go to conferences. But if we do get to 36, I could see 9 teams in each division of 4.
Yeah.
It's a lot, though. 9 in a division is a lot.
It's a lot. We should, yeah. It's the classic Jurassic Park line. You spent so much time thinking about how and didn't ask if you should. So
there's no way that's it.
Well, why don't you explain it? Because Sean can't see, neither can our listeners.
I'm just noticing. I have a comment from someone.
I can see the chat.
Yeah, but were you looking at the chat?
Do you see that someone named Luds commented it and said 2-0 boys?
Oh wow.
I have no confidence in the world that is actually Craig Ludwig commenting in on this.
So here's
chat.
how it would happen. Luddy would have to be able to find. There's the chat.
His wife
right
is
there.
very good at tech, though.
He says, yeah, but he would have to know how to get on his phone, find our YouTube link, which is everywhere, but he would still have to find it, click on it, get to the chat part, and then type in the chat.
No way.
I think he can. I think that's Lud.
Do you not remember the Google Doc conversation from last
morning?
Night? He still doesn't know where our Google Doc is for our show.
Shawshank Doc.
One of the best movies of all time, by the way.
But where, like, how did his brain even connect those two?
He did text us in the group chat today that he had already won the game this morning. So it's 3:00 Central Time, just about. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 2-0.
2-0 with how many beers?
Yeah, he also sent us this.
Guess what? He just
there you
sent
go. There's
a picture.
Yeah.
Look at this. So we got a text from Buddy. He must be watching the show. I can't read it, but he basically said, "F you, it's me." So confirmation that's Luddy.
It is Luds.
Hey, thanks for listening today,
Thanks, Luds.
All right, let's get back to the damn Discord because you know Luddy wants to see if Sean is giving him the Wally Pipp treatment or not.
Mm-hmm.
Freelancer, Sean, what would you project the Stars will sign Stankov and Johnston to contracts-wise? Boy, that's a really interestingly worded sentence.
Don't write
Do
good.
you see them both getting 8 years or more bridges?
Oh, I think Johnston. I mean, I look at Johnston as a 8-year investment. That's someone that I would be, from a Stars perspective, I would be trying to lock him up and get that done. Like, yeah, that one to me, Johnston to me is definitely an 8-year push. Now it's an interesting conversation because Johnston's agent also has to be Tom Harley's agent. So there is a bit of from Johnston's perspective, the betting on yourself with a bridge deal could be the better play. Stankoven to me is one where, because he's only in year 2, right? He'll be year 3 of RFAs next year. So this is still a little bit down the line. So there's still some time for us to learn what Logan Stankoven really is. While we all of us on this show have been pretty high on where he goes and everything like that. I use the term quite a bit where the league learns you and then you have to adapt. We're going to see what happens with Stankoven this year when the NHL kind of gets an idea of who he is and how he's going to adapt. So the Stankoven question, I'd love to be able to lock him up for an 8-year deal and get that done. I'd love to be able to say that. I'd also like to, thank you, Lutz. I'd also like to see more proof. There's more time I have right now, just by how it works, to take more time to do that. So, but Johnston is the Stars should jump on trying to get him done to an 8-year deal next year.
As fast as they can.
Yeah.
Because
as fast as possible.
I'm going to quote Sam's favorite podcaster, which is none of us, but Elliot Friedman. And he has said this repeatedly, including a recent episode, which you probably heard. The price never goes down with young talent. Yeah. And I think Wyatt Johnston is already one of those guys. We've seen it. He's only going to get better. Thomas Harley signed a bridge deal. There was some debate from the team of, well, okay, he did it for part of a season as far as scoring goals, but, win a stretch without scoring. Let's see him do it again. Wyatt Johnston's already done it as a second-year player, led the team in scoring. He's going to do it again perhaps this year. Maybe not. Maybe he won't be the points leader, but he's going to be a really important part of this team. it is only going to be more expensive. Don't do what the Cowboys have done, which is defer on a guy like Dak Prescott and wait extra years, franchise tag, and then end up signing for 5, 10, 15 million per year more. And so the numbers are different in the NHL, but Wyatt Johnson's price tag, I think, is going to only go up. So the sooner the better to get as many years as they can would be really smart. And as you said about Stankoven, you have some time on his ELC, so you don't need to rush that as much.
Well, and with Johnston right now, like his closest comp is Matty Beniers, and Matty Beniers signed an 8-year, $7.1 million this summer extension.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
That would be
Heartbeat.
There's no way age very
that's
well.
his number.
There's no way that's his number. You're right. So like Johnston is a better player than Beniers. So you're looking at 8x8. There's like, you want to get that done quicker, because if you bridge him and Johnston continues to play the way he does 4 or 5 years from now, you could be looking at a world of hurt to keep him.
I would give Johnston 64 million reasons to play.
Easy.
That's just cutting deep to our producer. Hey, we have a bunch more questions in the Discord that some of them are a little late. We can't get to. They're good. I did want to point out that a lot more of your questions for Sean were more hockey related, except for Sam and trolling his lines thing. Everybody looks a lot more about hypotheticals with Luds. So the tone of this damn Discord felt a little different than the typical Luds version, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's more serious, and there's not as many questions about like how to reset your router or get logged into a Google Doc.
If you had crab arms for claws or for hands.
Who you would kill first on islands, things like that.
And keep those questions coming, because those are fantastic. But I just would like to point out, if Sean does it again, he also would like to answer those types of hypotheticals.
Yeah. I mean,
or do you like the serious hockey questions better?
I know I like the hypotheticals, but I've just randomly had a light bulb go off in my brain right now, where Luds is playing in a charity hockey tournament right now, right? And he's talked about those shin guards are going above the fireplace. So when the shin guards go above the fireplace, does he have to get new shin guards for the charity hockey tournament appearances?
That's what I was wondering, because he sent us a picture of his gear, and I can't tell if those
it's not his
I
gear.
don't think
It's just a beer and a stick and a
But
skate.
it's shin guard. There's a shin guard there, right? Isn't that a shin guard?
There might be.
It looks like a very wide shin guard. I will say that.
It's not the same
it
ones
doesn't
he
look
wore in the NHL.
Yeah, I don't think it's the ones
we
that we're
need to
talking
ask that
about,
question.
but
Put that
question.
down. We'll ask Luds next week. What are you doing now with shin guards, and how wide are they compared to the ones that the Hockey Hall of Fame requested? We'll find out. All right, that's it. We're over time already.
Hey, Owen, I know we're over, and I'm the producer, so I'm allowed to do this.
Oh, he
but
wants to do it.
Do not react to what I'm about to show you. You cannot read it other than cheering. Okay, boys?
Okay.
Yay!
Because if we reacted and read it, it would ruin it.
Yes.
I didn't even think about it.
No, not at all.
How long have you had that ready?
I actually made that in the
This is
middle
a
of the
video
show.
exclusive, so anyone
You
who's
guys made
listening,
it halfway through the show. I made that, and I was like, I don't know if they're going to make it or not, but we'll see.
Unbelievable. You
That's
know
the
what?
first one,
It's
yeah.
because we don't have a Wisconsin native on the show today. So
You
I
know
wonder.
Luds would have ruined it.
Oh,
he would have
no
ruined
doubt.
it right here.
He would have literally read it and said it out loud. For those of you listening to the audio version of the podcast, I will say this. Today was the first day. No, I got it. Trust me, Sean. Trust me.
I don't trust him.
Today, I'm a pro.
I don't
you
talk.
guys
You take a
relax.
vote
You don't
on this?
talk good.
This is the first day in 5 weeks, right, of shows that we haven't mentioned a recently retired former Dallas Stars player. And so there was no ding and there was no 0 days since ... graphic. Now there's a 1 day since ... and we're going to make it to Monday.
Let's make it all the way to the end of the season.
No, we're going to make it to Monday. And something will be brought up because it's a season preview on Monday.
With Luds.
2:00 show Monday here at the DLLS studios. I think we're in the podcast room. Maybe even Sean will be there. We haven't talked about his schedule for next week yet. So we'll find out. To be determined. Make sure you follow the show. Like and subscribe on YouTube or on your favorite audio platform. Subscribe to it on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, all of them. It's great. It really helps. Like our show. Get into the chat. Become a diehard. Somebody just wrote in 5 minutes ago. Tyler HK93 on the Discord just joined. Love all the Stars content.
Thanks,
In
Tyler.
the chat, too.
Oh, look at that.
And he's
about to
cracking
crack one as well, Lutz. So
isn't it 3 o'clock in the
look,
afternoon?
grow our community. We are on some nice momentum. We're having a blast. And we will see you
Game
on Monday.
week.
It'll be getting ready
Game week.
3 games in 4 days to open the season. We'll talk about all that now. For Sean Shapiro, for Sam Nestler with Pants, for our producer, John Anderson, I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. So long, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.